ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 2014. That movie is Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Now, I want to tell you guys right now, and this is something that some people have been asking me. People have asked me what my favorite comic book movie of all time has been, and my answer's always been real easy. Sin City. I absolutely adored that movie, and like many people who saw it, I was anxiously awaiting a sequel, and when they finally announced that the sequel was coming out, I was fully ready to go and check it out in theaters. When I finally had an opening in my schedule to go and see this thing in theaters, it had been pulled from almost every theater because it bombed that badly. So I missed out on getting to see this thing in theaters, but because I couldn't see it in theaters, I opted to go out and pick up a copy. I got a copy of this thing for $2. I was real happy about that. And now I finally get to watch it, and as a bonus, I get to do it for reaction and review. So this, guys, is going to be amazing. I'm hoping for A Dame to Kill For to be as good as the first. I really am. I am genuinely hoping for it to have the same kind of energy and have the same kind of loyalty to the source that Sin City had. But the only way I'm going to find out, guys, if this thing is any good at all is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Well guys, the first story is already finished, and my god, I have been very quickly reminded exactly how much of a badass Marv is. That was fucking awesome, guys. Okay, that honestly is enough to turn a person's stomach. Yeah, I never really thought, guys, I would see somebody get their fingers broken by a set of pliers in this movie, but yeah, I just saw it, and holy shit, it was just a little bit sick, guys. Guys, I am gonna say this right now. I am really digging this fucking movie. I am just absolutely loving the style. I'm loving the writing. I'm loving the acting. Okay, yes, I will openly say that this thing is nowhere near as good as the first one, but still, it's a really solid fucking movie, and I'm absolutely adoring it. Okay, that was not quite what I was expecting, and for the first time ever seeing this man work, Christopher motherfucking Maloney here is turning in a performance that's somewhat, you know, chilling. I'm kinda stunned. Okay, I also wasn't seeing that fucking coming either. That also is a bit of a shocker. Okay. Honest to God, guys, I was not fucking expecting that. Okay, and this movie allows me to see Christopher Lloyd shooting up fucking heroin. I never thought I'd see a movie with Christopher Lloyd shooting up fucking heroin, but you know what? That actually was sort of cool. I was not even expecting Christopher Lloyd to be in this, and I got to see something a little bit new. That's awesome. Okay, this story is definitely darker than everything else in this fucking film. And considering the fact, guys, that Sin fucking City is all fucking already a fucking pitch black franchise, the fact that this one is noticeably darker is actually a little bit unfriggin' settling. Well, guys, that was Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Let me shut that off. Oh my god. Guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, now, before I get into this, I have to say this much. That is probably the most satisfying ending I have ever seen in any fucking movie I have ever watched. Holy fuck. Guys, I am not going to spoil. Alright, I'm gonna try to not spoil the ending here. But let me tell you this much. If you watched the first Sin, City, and you got through all of this, that motherfucking ending is so fucking satisfying, guys. It's gonna damn near bring a tear to your eye. That is pristine, Fantastic writing. And you know what? I'm going to jump right into the writing. Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, before I go into any major details, I do have to stress, this thing is not as good as the first Sin City movie. But I believe that the reason for that is because of the stories picked. Because when they made the first Sin City movie, they picked essentially the best fucking stories that Frank Miller wrote within the Sin City universe. So that means that any sequel is kind of forced to work with, you know, like secondary stories and the stuff that's not quite as good as, you know, like The Big Fat Kill or The Yellow Bastard or any of the other stories that were featured in the first film. So this thing had to work with essentially like secondary stories, and it even has a couple of them that are exclusive to this film. Has two stories which are exclusive to this film that have, at least as far as I know, have never been published in comic book form. They were written for the movie. One of them is that final story, which is probably the darkest Sin City story I have ever read or seen. But my God, that ending is so perfect. It really is a nice way to tie up almost the entire Sin City universe. And just those closing 20 seconds are going to just have you absolutely in awe. That is how good the writing is here. Now, mind you, I also have to stress that I am a fan of a lot of Frank Miller's writing. And all of this, seeing as how all of it is directly, well, all of it is either directly based on stories that Miller wrote in the past, or two of them that he wrote exclusively for this. It's all written by Frank fucking Miller. And if you've read Frank Miller's comics, and if you don't like the way that he writes, then obviously this isn't going to be your sort of thing. And if you're not into the hard-boiled noir-style storytelling, then also the writing here is not going to be for, you know, you, because this thing, guys, camps out in the world of motherfucking noir and stays there. And if you're not a fan of that kind of writing, if you're not a fan of that kind of storytelling, then none of this is going to appeal to you. However, considering the fact that this thing is a sequel, you should probably know if you are a fan of this kind of writing going in, because you will hopefully have seen the first one. And the writing here is very similar, because again, it's all from Frank fucking Miller, and his writing from story to story in the realm of Sin City is very, very similar. And once more, even though the stuff here is not as strong as what was in the first film, what is here is still very, very well, you know, written. Our characters are still massively fleshed out. I absolutely loved how these stories went. A couple of these actually were even stories that I still have not read as part of the Sin City universe, and it makes me want to go out and try to find everything else which is Sin City and read it, because I have a funny feeling we're not going to see a third movie in this series. So I'm going to need to get all that I can now. Anyway, so yeah, guys, writing here is awesome, but I do have to punctuate the fact that it's awesome if you're into Frank Miller's style of writing. And so if that honestly is not your kind of thing, then you're obviously not going to be a fan of this. Writing here, though, again, to me, is just almost borderline masterful, and I absolutely loved the stories told here. Acting. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am going to say something I never thought I would say in my entire life. It's something that I couldn't even say after watching the first movie. Jessica Alba can act. Because I'm going to tell you guys, she kind of sort of phoned it in the first movie, and it worked still, but my God, guys, in the final story of this thing, Jessica Alba is finally given a chance to act, to actually put on a performance. And holy shit, she blows it out of the fucking water, man. Again, I never thought I'd be able to praise the acting of Jessica fucking Alba, but motherfucker, she shocked me here. She turned in a fantastic performance. Shit, guys, the entire cast turned in awesome showings. Now, one thing I do have to comment on, because I know that there are a lot of fans of the first film who still haven't seen this one, they did have to do a handful of casting changes between the first film and this one. In two instances, it is because the actors who were originally in those roles have since passed away between the first film and this one, so those had to be done. But there were also a couple of other casting choices, casting changes that were made probably because they couldn't get the original actors. And everybody who comes in and is filling in are doing fantastic work. Guys, there is nobody in this film who turns in a poor showing. The acting here is top-notch from start to finish. Every single person turned in probably the best performances you will ever see from these people. Shy maybe of Mickey fucking Rourke, but that honestly is because Rourke always turns in awesome, like everywhere, but I really don't think anything is ever going to top Rourke's work in The fucking Wrestler. But still, this right here is still some top-notch stuff even from him. Acting here is fantastic. Special effects. I do need to talk about special effects because it's not a Sin City movie unless it looks like the Sin City comics, and god damn it, they nailed that. This whole thing, guys, is in fucking black and white, which also I know is going to turn off a lot of people because some people just don't like the whole idea of black and white films. But they have colorized certain things. So you will see like a character's shirt is colorized, or somebody's hair, their eyes, their lips. In certain cases, you will have an entire character colorized in an entire scene, which is still in black and white. And all of that looks amazing, and it really does add to the style and the flair of this film, which honestly was the precedent set in the first movie. So this thing, guys, is able to continue to follow that awesome look, and it really does look, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, this thing looks exactly like a Sin City comic brought to life. That is how perfect. That, guys, is how perfect the lighting and the digital effects and the green screen work and the camera placement, how all of that just comes fucking together. And it forms this perfect shot. You guys will never see better fucking cinematography than you do in this film, at least in terms of trying to make a comic book movie look like a motherfucking comic book. And my god, it looks beautiful. And guys, I totally understand I normally don't, gush over, special effects, but this movie lives and dies by its special effects because almost everything is done on virtual sets and green screen, and it all has to look good, otherwise it's going to pull you right out of the fucking movie. And everything here in terms of special effects is done beautifully. Guys, I really cannot think of a negative here at all. But you see, I also have to stress that I loved the first film. I went into this one expecting great things, and I did get great things. I'm trying to think, what else can I talk about? The sound mix here is done really well. The soundtrack is awesome. The score here is beautiful. The lighting here is just masterful. But see, once more, that kind of ties into the whole making everything look exactly like a Sin City comic. You have to have the lighting. Now, wait, there is one negative. And it's a real minor one, I know. It's a real minor, trivial nothing, but it fucking bothered me. Alright, now they were trying, once more, they were trying to get the look of the comics. And one thing which is a constant amongst the Sin City books is any character who has glasses oftentimes has the lenses completely fucking, white. And that is part of the stylistic look of the books. And in order to replicate that, what they did here is they basically handed the actors glasses, and it just sort of looks as if they took fucking, like, paper and just sort of glued paper on the inside of the lenses, and it just looks cheap. Now, they actually had very similar kinds of shots in the first film, except in the first film, almost all of those were digitally whitened out. But here, guys, they actually were trying for a practical look, and it winds up looking a little bit cheap and kind of shit. And it's used in like 2 scenes, but still, it does sort of stand out. It really is the only negative I can honestly think of after, watching this. And guys, when all is said and done then, am I able to recommend Sin City: A Dame to Kill For? Oh, Fuck yes I can. This thing was a perfect sequel to my favorite comic book movie of all time. And okay, yes, it honestly is nowhere near as good as the first movie. But guys, it would have been a fucking miracle if this thing were better than the first movie. The very fact, guys, that it comes as close as it did to being as good as the first movie is perfect for me, because I would not have expected less. The best part about this, guys, I got this thing on Blu-ray for $3. I have never been happier about parting with $3. This movie is fucking beautiful. This thing is a true work of art, and if you have not seen it, please, by all means, go out and watch it, but I would recommend you go and watch the first Sin City before you check out this one, because that one is still better in almost every conceivable fashion, but this sucker is a fantastic follow-up, and unfortunately, because this thing bombed in theaters, we're probably never going to see a Sin City 3, and god damn it, I find that to be nothing short of tragic, because this thing, guys, has shaped up to be one of my favorite film series of all time, and we're never going to get a third because this one was in theaters for all of 2 weeks before the studio decided to pull the fucking plug on it, which kind of sucks for people like me who really liked them, but it also gives me plenty of fucking incentive to go out and buy all of the Sin City comics, every single one of the Sin City trades, collected editions, what have you, and read everything that they didn't get to turn into a film. And I can sit there and I can fantasize about exactly how good those would have been. Now, guys, after watching this, I really want to go back and watch the first Sin City, and I am going to go do exactly that. And then probably when I'm done with that, I'm probably going to give this thing another fucking watch, because it was that fucking good. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.